This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Talk about stepping up. Bang! Bang!
It's time to level up your game. Introducing the all-new ESPN app. All of ESPN, all in one place. Your home for the most live sports and the best championship moments.
The electricity is palpable.
Step up your game with no annual contract required. It's the ultimate fan experience. Level up for more on the ESPN app or at stream.espn.com. Sign up now.
This is Rob Gronkowski from Dudes on Dudes. Applebee's just cooked up the ultimate option play with their new Ultimate Trio deal. You can choose from 3 of their delicious appetizers and pair them up with 3 sauces for just $14.99. Craft your perfect trio from over 80,000 different combinations in this flavor-packed plate built for one, or to share if you're generous. You can stick with the classic pairings like boneless wings and buffalo sauce, or you can spice things up and try some unexpected pairings like dipping chicken wonton tacos in our honey Dijon mustard. It's time to head to your neighborhood Applebee's or order online today. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
Hour of the program from the Great Minnesota Get-Together on a lovely Monday. Thanks once again to Chip Scoggins, who just joined us. The former colleague of mine at the Star Tribune, continues to do fine work as a columnist there. And as I mentioned, Mayo Clinic big knocker Bill Maurice will join us on location in the 5 o'clock hour as well. Don Plitzuweit, the Golden Gopher women's basketball coach, kind enough to join us now. How about a round of applause for the head coach? Thank you for coming to see us. I've already complimented you. Those are very stylish sunglasses. Is that like one of those designer brands?
You know, you don't get to see me coach in those like some coaches because it's an indoor sport, but yeah, it's got a little bit of style.
Have you ever thought of that? I mean, are there any coaches, even indoors, who do still wear brandish their sunglasses?
Not that I know
That would be an unusual
not that I know of.
Trademark for sure.
Right? I could start something new.
That's it. Well, it's good to see you. I hope you're enjoying the cool temperatures as much as those of us who are here every day.
Right.
This is like a godsend.
Isn't this incredible? Last year when we brought the team out, it was one of those 90-degree days.
The boiler, wasn't it?
It was, and they said, Coach, do we have to stay for a full 3 hours? Can we come home sooner?
Yeah.
We spent all our money on all of our lemonade and ice cream, and so this year, hopefully it'll be this kind of weather. It looks like
great.
it will again.
It looks like it's supposed to stay, for sure, absolutely. Well, thanks for coming, as I said, to see us. I mentioned to Guardsy I was going to try to get you going on a 2 or 3 things.
Here we go.
Let's go. For example, is it fair to call this a make or break season? And by that, I don't mean that if it doesn't go great, that there'd be any job security concerns, but that given the number of people you have back, hopefully healthy, I know that's been a big issue as well. Is it going to be disappointing if you do not make a significant jump when you factor in returning players, injured players coming back, and the feeling that, all right, maybe we're ready to take another step?
Well, I certainly believe we're ready to take another step, and I think we've done that the first 2 seasons, and now it's time to continue to build. No question. And I think we're in a really great spot in terms of our returners, in terms of our depth. You know, obviously we do have to stay healthy. We had a chance the first 2 seasons we were here to be an NCAA tournament team both years, but had significant injuries that just made it a little bit more challenging for us. The good news, the positive side of that, is we have a lot of players who have garnished a great deal of minutes and kind of been through the wears and tears of all of it, and they're ready to continue to get, and they've gotten a lot better since last year's postseason to now.
What for you, when you look back on it, what were the most important things you felt based on what you knew about the condition of this program when you walked in, that you felt had to be established?
Well, again, it comes down to, I think, our building blocks, our toughness, our togetherness, and this mentality that things don't always go your way. And we've seen that the first 2 years, and you need to find a way. And, really proud of our young ladies for that mentality and really continuing to build and get tougher and tougher, not just physically tougher, although we're a stronger team than we've been. We're a faster team than we've been. I think we are mentally more aware of how to attack and how to be disruptive defensively. So that makes us tougher. But I think at the same time, what this group has done a tremendous job of is continuing to grow and develop and build that togetherness and that chemistry and then have that find a way mentality. So I love the group of young ladies that we have. I think it was a really fun summer for us. We are starting back up. Actually, today was our first lifting day.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow will be our first workout. So, I'm really excited about them.
When you say fun summer, how? Why? Did you guys do anything, or what happened this summer?
Right. Well, our workouts were great.
Okay.
In terms of that aspect, but we do a lot together outside of basketball. So from lake days to community service events to book studies to, we brought in a female speaker, Kayla McBride, KMAX, having a great another all-star year. So she came in and mentored our young ladies, brought in someone to talk to them. We're in this new era of not only NIL, but now revenue sharing with our young ladies. And so brought in someone who could help them from a tax standpoint, at least understand what that all looks like. So just a lot of time together outside of basketball.
Is there, you mentioned the NIL stuff and the revenue sharing stuff, and it's such a, I guess, unexplored world that you guys are all getting used to or you're kind of required to get used to. But I think from the outside looking in, we all wonder, like with professional players, contracts are all almost public. I mean, it's all on the basis of what the unions pass out, agents leak, whatever. So I can call up, I can get online and I can find out what any player in any professional sport is making. It's on the record. So in the case of, as you guys are living in this new world, how aware are teammates of what other players are making? How do you even begin to navigate those challenges?
Well, first of all, they're students, right? So they're student athletes, and therefore their information is protected. So that's great from that standpoint. Right. So awareness of I think there's a lot of speculation.
Right.
What players are making at the University of Minnesota, what are players making at Indiana, or what other school you want to pick. So there's a lot of speculation, but it's not known information at that point in time. So from our standpoint, how do we navigate it? Well, inch by inch, life's a cinch, yard by yard, life is hard. And so we just keep plugging away day by day. And again, I think we have a very special group because they are very humble, but they're very hungry. They're here at Minnesota to do something really special. Minnesota women's basketball has a rich history of success. We haven't had the same type of success that we want to have, and we haven't done that for a few years. So it's time to get back to that point. And this group really wants to do that.
I mean, as I knew there wasn't going to be any place people could look, but whether even players, there's got to be a natural curiosity. And I'm even trying to understand. Is there like a master formula? How do you even go about, if you have a certain amount of money, X amount of money,
right?
How you go about equitably distributing that? How do you even learn the ways and wherefores of that?
Well, and that's where we've been really fortunate in terms of the background that I think that I've been blessed to have in coaching and working with some of those things at different levels and understanding how things get kind of put together. We have also hired a general manager for us, and that's Jason Jeske, and he has a finance background, and he also is a numbers guy to figure out our own analytics system. Mm-hmm. And so we've put that together and then look at other analytics systems, how players rank within the conference and within the Big Ten, and try to put all that together so that there's a logical explanation for what we're doing, how we're doing it.
Let's talk about some specific players. We're chatting with the Golden Gopher women's basketball coach, Dawn Plitzuweit, from the State Fair. Give me a Taylor Woodson injury update, where she is at in her progress.
She's about 8 months post-op at this point in time. The goal is to get her back full go by about the 9-month mark. That's pretty early, so that puts her at the end of September. The end of September, the NCAA allows us to start official practices already. So it used to be Midnight Madness, October 15th, those type of things. Now it is 42 days before your first game, which is November 3rd, so that your first practice now for us can be on September 23rd. So the goal is to get her back back with us for the most part by that time if she gets through all of her testing.
And she was ACL?
ACL.
That's what it was, exactly.
Yep.
All right, let's stay on schedule. Let's get our first break in. We'll continue. Lots more to cover, as I said. And as I mentioned, Mayo Clinic Big Knocker Bill Maurice will join us in the 5 o'clock hour. We are going the distance today from the shadow of the grandstands, our usual location. Today, no awning is needed, actually. Good cloud cover. Some people might actually be a little bit chilly as the weather has changed rather dramatically from previous years. Back in just a minute here on the Fan.
Mall of America's mystery cards are back. We're bringing them to you all summer long. You can come grab yours at KFAN events throughout the summer or wherever you see our KFAN street team. Then make sure to redeem them at Mall of America for fun prizes and big discounts. See full list of events, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
A very friendly crowd out here again today, including apparently one sad Chicago Bears fan. I know, this year it's going to be different, isn't it? This will be the year. I've been there with you, man. I know how that goes. Years and years and years. Dawn Plitzuweit is with us, the Golden Gopher women's basketball coach. Let's talk about Mara, and I assume you're kind of pleased to have her back.
Oh, absolutely.
And
That's been great.
What do you miss without her? What do you see her being this year?
Okay, Mara Braun was someone who obviously everyone knows she can really drain shots, right? But she's also someone who we relied on to defend the other team's best shooter, scorer. She started our defense for us. She broke the press for us. And then on the other end, she was usually defended by the other team's best defensive player too. So she drew extra attention and that opened things up. So she did a lot for us. At the same time, she's also the voice of calm and composure for us, and so we expect a great deal out of her. Was that kind of a lot?
No, that's okay, but that's what she represents, right?
It is. She brings an awful lot to the table for us, and I think she's someone right now it's been fun to watch because she's really growing her game and is getting more and more comfortable putting the ball on the floor and making different things happen that way too.
Who else? Give me a player or two, because you have was it 7 back from last year? Top 7?
Yeah.
So that you think, okay, there's room for growth, or here's where I think they can take another step. Give me some examples of players who might fall into that classification.
Well, I think we have quite a few. I think the great part about our staff, and our staff has been together for a long time, is I believe their gift is in developing players, developing their skill level, but developing their awareness, their understanding of the game. And so that's something that we spend a lot of time on every single day. And so I really think from our kids who are significant contributors that are returning, the Mara Brauns, you've got Amaya Battle, who's been starting for us now for quite a while, Mallory Heyer and Grace Grahowski and Sophie Hart. I think everyone knows, a little bit or quite a bit about them. Tori McKinney, who came in for Mara last year and made a lot of things happen. I think Nia Holloway is someone who at times, especially in the postseason, made great things happen for us, and so I think they have to be, and Taylor Woodson we talked a little bit about, and she was really doing some special things for us. Those young ladies really need to do some important things for us to have the type of season we want to have. But we have some newcomers too. Briley Glenn is a transfer from K-State, who I think is going to really make her mark at Minnesota in her season, her final season. Finau Tonga is a post kid that transferred in, and she's someone who's got some just real size and strength that we haven't seen before. Tracy Berciers can shoot it. Her sister is a freshman for us, Zoe, who can shoot it. McKenna Christian is someone who, from the state of Wisconsin, as a freshman for us, can really put the ball in the basket and play multiple positions. So I just think we have a really good core group of young ladies that can make an awful lot happen.
That's a good primer, a good overview of several individual players as well. You mentioned the transfer part of this thing. It's something that has revolutionized basketball, college basketball, and college football as well. Is it difficult as a coach who is already, established and experienced to adjust to? Are there major adjustments involved with this revolution?
Well, I think you have awareness. I don't think that it's changed who we are. I think it's maybe fortified in some ways why we do what we do in terms of building our team outside of basketball, in terms of building. And it's not just the culture piece. I love growing our young women into confident versions of themselves that they can be. That does help you on the basketball court, but that is something that is a life skill. And today our young ladies actually were shopping together in a program called Suited for Success. So they go out and they purchase. One of our boosters donates some money, and then our young ladies go out and they buy outfits that they can wear.
That's now legal.
It is now legal.
The beauty
right?
of it,
Yep,
yeah.
yes, and so they can purchase outfits that they can wear for internships or interviews or those type of things, and then we do media training so they have the skills to answer questions at a high level without using filler words and without putting themselves in really tough spots. And
Right.
so, but while you're doing all of those things together, you're building a connectivity and a camaraderie, and then that helps you take it to another level. And I really certainly believe that that's really going to help us. And it's helped us retain players, but I think it's really going to help us take that next step forward on the court as well.
How do you feel philosophically about, I've heard some coaches, I don't think you and I have talked about this before, forgive me if we have, but that, some of them have complained a bit that what frustrates them, they understand it's a new world, money's got to be involved in it, instant transfers got to be involved in it, we're not going back probably, but that for some players it does run the risk of them not being able to accept certain critiquing that is just part of this process, that for some now, then the first instinct is, well, fine, I'll just go someplace else.
Right. How
does that enter into what you see, and do you view that also as, in the end, a net loss for some players if that's the lever they think it gives them and that they're constantly going to that lever?
Well, I think it starts in the recruitment process of getting to know young ladies and their families and what they're looking for and what their priorities are. But at the same time, I really believe that there's a mentorship opportunity that we have. Not just how do you dribble and how do you pass, but there's a mentorship opportunity that we have. And how are you really focusing? For us, our expectations are be your best. Be your best in everything that you do. Be thankful and enjoy the precious present. And I think when our young ladies do those things, when they're giving their best effort academically, when they're giving their best effort on the basketball court, socially, in terms of as a teammate, but also in the community, when they are doing that with a humble, grateful heart, and they're doing it while enjoying being where their feet are at, well, then you know what? We can excel in this new era at a level that I believe kind of separates us from other people. I really believe that.
So, and so I assume part of it, too, is that's part of the recruiting process in the front end for you.
It is.
Right? Because, I mean, you can maybe pick up signs this player might be someone who's going to run at first opportunity a little more than someone else. So to some extent, you try to control it that way, correct?
Well, you try to develop authentically true relationships with the recruits that you're recruiting, with the players that you have, because the reality is life isn't utopia. It's not all rainbows and cotton candy. It's not like being at the state fair every single day. You don't get to go have I saw a Spam hamburger. I've never seen one of those before, right?
They're underrated. If you don't want the bread, they have Spam bites too.
Okay, well, yeah, I didn't get that far.
I lean towards Spam bites.
Right, but there's so many good foods to eat here. There's so much, but that's during 12 days of the state fair.
Correct.
That's not real. That's not.
No.
And that's from a college basketball standpoint. Yes, there are the high moments, and we need to celebrate those. But at the same time, there are the challenges. And when you have the challenges, you need to have a good enough relationship and build your program on some values that can get you through those times. And our program's been through some of those times, from injury standpoint, from maybe not winning at quite as many games as we want standpoint, but the resilience factor that our young ladies exhibited during the WBIT last year and winning the championship tells us an awful lot about who they really are, how they've been raised, what their values are. And so, we're really excited because now you build upon that. But you're right, it's different. But so I think we have to do a great job in the recruiting process, and then you have to do a great job in the mentorship piece of that and continuing to grow throughout the course of the entire year.
What's the Big Ten going to be like this year?
Well, Big Ten women's basketball last year, and I say this and I can back it up with stats, but Big Ten women's basketball is not only the best it ever was last year, Big Ten women's basketball is the best conference ever in the history of Division I women's basketball. And how can I say that? Because we had more teams in the NCAA tournament than any conference ever in the history of college women's basketball. So the Big Ten is great. This is why you should if you haven't gotten your season tickets yet, this is why you should. Okay? We play in a conference. First of all, our non-conference schedule, and we are close to being able to release it. We just got another contract back today.
Do you have a lot of hyphens in there or some good teams?
We got some good teams in there. So we are going down to a premier tournament in the Bahamas.
Yeah, I know. Garzi, that's quite a scam for Garzi.
Garzi's
scam. Unbelievable.
He already packed all his...
My luggage is there. Everything's already there.
He's probably already got a condo down there.
Yeah, sunscreen, sunglasses. He's all set. He's ready to go.
You'll be fine Thanksgiving week without me. You'll be fine.
Exactly right.
You got plenty of stuff.
We're opening up a home and home with Kansas this year. We start at their place, and so we have a number of other really good teams in the non-conference. In the conference, the best teams last year in the Big Ten last year were USC, UCLA, Ohio State, Maryland, Michigan State were all in the top 5. They all come to our place this year. And so from what the value is for season tickets for women's basketball, we are on the brink of breaking our all-time season ticket holder record. So we need a little help getting there. So we can get a couple tickets sold. That'd be great. Great value. Great value for great women's basketball.
Where can they get information on that, by the way?
Gophersports.com.
Gophersports.com. Place to be.
Right there. Tickets. They started $150 for the year.
That's
so when she talks about value, and like if USC and UCLA are coming to town, you're paying that probably just for those games.
You know enough about the history here that, I mean, this is a place that it will support. I mean, it takes time, and you got to, and they want a product, obviously, but I think there's no reason that it can't be here. I think you know that.
I totally believe that.
Yeah.
I've believed that for a long time, and now I have a chance to kind of live that out, and it's really exciting. I really believe that with the product that we put on the floor, the style that we play, it's fun, it's fast, it's defensively we have to get better from where we were in the past, right? We were a good defensive team, but we weren't a great defensive team. We have to make that adjustment, and we're working on that. We're probably the only women's basketball team in the country that was working on transition defense during the course of the summer. I'm not sure our players always loved that. They loved it.
Yeah, right.
They love the working on the transition offense part of it, but the transition defense, well, maybe not quite as much.
Here's my toss-up WNBA question: at the end, by the end of their careers,
right?
Who will be considered a better professional basketball player?
I know where this is going.
Caitlin Clark or Paige Beckers?
Okay. We're going local. We have to, don't we?
You don't have to do anything.
You don't have to.
Well, she went to UConn.
And she left.
That's a good point.
How local
that's
can
a
she
good
be?
Point. Yeah, that's
it. Yeah. No, you can be honest. I'm just kind of curious.
That one's a really hard question because I would have said initially Caitlin Clark,
sure.
But I was impressed with Caitlin Clark and what she did throughout her college career and then her first year. Now with these injuries,
it's been rough.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And then this has been a really hard year in the WNBA with all the injuries. It's just it's absolutely remarkable. But I will say this: if our fans haven't gone out to watch the Lynx play live, you should.
I agree.
Man, are they fun to watch?
Talk about the ball moving.
They share the ball, exactly.
And Nafisa, she came right back first game and was ridiculous.
I was giggling watching the game yesterday.
Yeah.
It's just it's so fun, but they're tough.
They are.
They really defend at a high level, and they shoot it really, really well, and they share the ball. So
that's true. By the way, there's a lot of WNBA talk, almost constant. For me, too much of it about the quality of officiating. I don't want to get you in trouble with Big Ten people, but. Are you? I mean, again, coaches complain. Part of the job is to, influence and to try to state your position. But what's the state of college? I mean, is the state of college officiating a problem? Because in WNBA, it's a constant. I mean, almost every game, there's somebody that's not up to the standards of what the players are doing. How do you feel about your officiating?
Well, I think it's hard. Because I think that our officials are kind of overworked in a lot of ways. I think we have a really good core group, but they're doing just about every game. So often you'll see them on a Thursday night in Minnesota, and then on a Sunday afternoon they're in Washington or something.
So you need more.
So we need more.
Okay.
We need more. We need more officials. I really believe that. At the same time, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie about now we're going to be able to get into some reviews this year. The hard part from my standpoint for the WNBA is how long the reviews take.
Yes.
By that time, man, we can switch channels and watch another quarter of another game and get back. So that's, I think, the struggle. So I do hope on our side there won't be as many challenges because we can't challenge quite as much. But I do think that's something that it's important in the game.
Right.
But at the same time, we've got to keep the game moving for the fans.
I'm with you on that. So is it going to be the same as in the WNBA and NBA now, where there's like the second row where the coach? The player, your player's doing this, the finger twirl wants it, because you can't trust players much of the time. They're not objective. So then you as coach has to look to the second row and they're replaying it. They got the TVs or the computers. Is that how it's going to be set up for you guys too?
It is. It is right now set up that way. But what we have to be careful of for our level is that we can't tell the officials, we can't point at the screen at the scoreboard and say, that wasn't a foul or make reference to it. We just have to tell them what our challenge is.
Why not? What do you mean? Why can't you?
They don't like that a whole lot because it's kind of like,
if you point at the Jumbotron and be like, look, that was, or like Pat Bev did, remember when he brought the camera?
Okay, I see.
You get a technical.
I got it. It's
Yeah,
automatic.
you do.
Okay. So you got to stay away.
We're going to stay away from that.
So do you have those individuals designated that are doing that job?
We absolutely do.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You better get it right.
You're going to be mad if they get it wrong.
Tyler Van Winkle, you better be listening. You better get that right.
I would not want that responsibility for sure. Get the look of love from you if they get it wrong. It's like, oh, my God. Because they say, no, this is a good challenge.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't get overturned, and you go, fine, thanks a lot. How many do you get a game? I don't even know.
Well, we're going to get one.
One?
And it's interesting because what they used to do in our game is we could or at the last 2 minutes, basically any out-of-bounds play was reviewed. They're not going to go to that anymore. Now that's one of the things we can review. So then we can look at what were you out of bounds, were you not out of bounds. The reality is this. In women's college basketball, it's really fun to have the opportunity to call timeouts, advance the basketball, and then run a play if you want to run a play or get the ball in bounds and not be pressed. And so for us, we don't really spend a lot of our timeouts during the course of the game in the same way maybe that men's, we have to use it or lose it. We don't have that in women's basketball.
Yep.
So we try to save as many as we can for the end of the game to advance the ball. When the men are ever going to get to that, I don't know, but they're really kind of behind the times. I'm not afraid to say that.
Yeah.
It really makes the game exciting.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree totally. Thanks for coming to see us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Don Plitzuweit, ladies and gentlemen, Golden Gopher women's basketball coach, kind enough to join us. Photo opportunities after we're done. And then, as I mentioned, we'll have a little bit of time here before we're joined by Mayo Clinic big knocker Bill Maurice. Monday at the Great Minnesota Get-Together. Beautiful weather. In fact, the knocker's already here.
He's been here for like an hour. I've seen him the whole time.
He is so committed to
He's ready.
Drove all the way from Rochester.
Canceled his whole afternoon.
He hitched. He didn't even have a vehicle. He hitched. Somebody gave him a ride.
Said I'm the big knocker and I need to get to the fair.
And they got him here. Yep. Back in just a minute here in the Fan.
Get ready to laugh. Comedy legend Bill Engvall is back at Treasure Island Resort and Casino Friday, September 5th. The blue-collar comedy tour icon may have retired, just couldn't stay away from the stage. Here's your sign to catch him live for another round of side-splitting humor. Get all the details, TICasino.com.
Back at the Great Minnesota Get-Together on the Bumper to Bumper program on the Fan. We have one guest yet to come in the 5 o'clock hour, and that is Mayo Clinic big knocker Bill Maurice. I had a couple of interesting medical stories I'm saving for him, and one of them is out of the Cleveland Clinic. I love getting him going on the rivalry thing.
Cleveland versus... Well, he'll say there's no rivalry.
Exactly it. There's so much sensitivity on that. But the story fascinated me regarding how, I guess, the process that led to this really unusual surgery. And I'm going to try to get him going like, well, Mayo Clinic doesn't do this? And I'm sure he'll have an answer.
Oh, yeah.
He'll
be ready.
That'll be a part of our discussion with the knocker. Also, a quick message, close circuit to Ryan, who apparently is a faithful listener.
Okay.
Your daughter, Mackenzie, stopped by the booth and says hello. So that's to
it's very specific.
Listener Ryan. Yeah, exactly. Mackenzie is just stopped by our booth and wanted to say hello to him, and he apparently has listened for a very, very long time. Okay, let's get to a little what we spent a lot of time on yesterday because it ended up being a breaking news story regarding Carson Wentz. Is this the classic case of if the quarterback's name was Joseph Dokes or Joe Dokes, that there would have been maybe 5 minutes discussion and we would be bored with it and done with it, but because it's the name Carson Wentz that once meant something, especially here in the upper Midwest,
right,
and who at the start of his professional career, when he broke out, looked to be a guy who was going to be an all-timer, for God's sake.
He was like an MVP candidate before he got
was. There. Is that what this is about? So should we, is it not even worth all that much time given it's the backup position? And given, like you said, he's become, let's be honest, he's become a journeyman quarterback at this point. And remember, the last two head coaches he had are great offensive minds, right? One for the Rams. What's his name, the head coach?
Sean McVay.
Sean McVay. And the other is Andy Reid.
Right.
Last year was Kansas City.
Yep.
So the idea that they've decided, well, it was fun while it lasted, but we're going to move on, even for backup purposes, it's not going to go. Is that not a reminder that we shouldn't romanticize anything about this move other than maybe he's a better option, at least in the Vikings' minds, than the other backup quarterback options that they had?
Well, I think it does speak to just how uninspired they were by the room in general, right? That they would even think about doing this late in camp. And to answer your question about if his name wasn't Carson Wentz, the Upper Midwest sensibility card is being played heavily here, right? I mean, because we've been hearing about Carson Wentz for 6 months, right? The Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, 64686, from Bismarck to Fargo to Grand Forks and everywhere in between, Alexandria, Detroit Lakes, everybody there, because he's their favorite son, right? So it's the Adam Thielen. You know, imagine that, by the way, Detroit Lakes to Bismarck, that connection, how good that would be. Right. So I think a lot of it, yes, is that he's been a familiar guy here because he, of course, played for the Bison, had great success there, had the entire NFL basically move up there for his pro day, and then he was a high draft pick, and he was off to a great start. That Super Bowl year, because that was Minneapolis Miracle year, right, when Nick Foles had to come in for him?
Correct.
The first part of that year, the guy that put them in that position where they were a top seed was Carson Wentz, right? He was playing great, and people were thinking that he was going to be the MVP of the league that year, and it just has never been the same since. So, yeah, there's a lot of one of us's and almost one of us talk that I think that it's here, that it's Minnesota.
Well,
is coming up a lot.
For me, the biggest part of the acquisition is adding more draft currency. And because I think anything that I'm not saying this is why alone they did it. They obviously weren't happy with any of the backup options. But I do think part of it is if they're going to be able to give themselves the best shot at adding a wide receiver, they want to keep adding
assets.
Low picks, right? Where you don't mind, unless you're Rick Spielman, quite as much about including them in a deal. And I don't know if this will make the difference between getting Thielen or not, or if there's another name out there that might be attractive. But that, to me, is the sneaky part of this deal. Is I think we gave up one pick. I think we're getting two back.
That sounds right.
And they're all low picks, but sometimes that's all it takes in doing trying to acquire a wide receiver. Because as we talked about with Chip Scoggins, we've been on this show for weeks that I didn't like the feel of any of this at all. And oddly, the better that Addison played in practice and preseason, he was the guy. He made J.J. McCarthy look as good as he did.
He did.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
There was one pass behind him that Addison made a nice adjustment on, and then there was the one where he had to dive.
Yep.
That was to McCarthy's left, as you recall, right?
Yep.
And it was a good read. He made the right throw into that situation, but Addison had to go get the ball. And to me, the more I saw of him, the more I said, God, I know it's only 3 games, but that's an important part of this season.
Yep.
The schedule is formidable early to that extent, or challenging at least at the start, given you're on the road. And beyond that, I don't even know if you have a number 3. Once he gets back, you've got a legitimate number 3 receiver established, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't even know what the update is on Naylor. Is he going to have surgery, or is he just week to week? We don't even know.
I think he's still week to week.
So who's to say? And that's why, to be honest, I might be willing to give up a little bit more. If the guy you've identified, whether it's Thielen or not, is a guy you say, well, he can even be our number 3 receiver once Addison comes back. This league is now a league where you want to have, even if you've got some good tight end options, and I know we do with the long-haired guy.
Yep, T.J. Hawkinson.
The fact is, you need 3 wide receivers, right?
Yes.
So
yes, and you want every supporting cast option available for the quarterback that you talk about, J.J. McCarthy. Now, are you annoyed by the Addison throws because you got so accustomed to seeing on time and on target from Max Brosmer the entire preseason?
Yes.
Everything was right in the breadbasket.
No one had to strain.
How about that 4th down throw that the guy can't haul in?
Yeah.
I mean, how good was that?
That was a good throw.
It was a good throw. Yeah. I do think they.
We were acting like I was against him.
No, I know I'm not.
I'm not. You saw him a lot more than I did, but when they signed him originally, I said I'm intrigued. Let's see where this goes, because the guy's accuracy speaks for itself, and it's obvious he does have the quote unquote processing gene that all these coaches.
It's a great buzzword.
They all talk about.
Yeah,
it's become the new cliche.
They do,
right? But there's apparently something to it.
It is. I can't decide if I'm more encouraged or annoyed by the Addison emergence in the preseason.
Right.
Because he was obviously great. And there's no JJ either. That's the other thing. Yeah. Talking about Justin Jefferson. So Addison was pretty much the guy the entire way, but he was really good. And that's why it's also annoying that you are going to miss him for the first 3, even because these mistakes just keep piling up and just keep happening. But because I know they like Naylor. I think they like saying Speedy more than they like saying Naylor. That's part of the deal. But are we convinced like he's just a straight up like dude for the number 3 receiver whenever Addison comes back? I don't think so.
I'll be honest. If there's anybody I think what you can point the finger at, maybe the finger of blame when it comes to the entire Jordan Addison situation, I think it might be Sheldon Burns.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people
honestly, there are people who say behind the scenes they're not sure. They think he might be a little bit divisive.
Yeah.
In that regard. I mean, that's just a rumor.
Yeah.
I can't confirm it, but that's, of course, never stopped me before.
There were a lot of whispers when we were out at training camp.
Several.
A lot of whispers.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I can't get any more specific than that.
No, we can't, but there was a lot of whispering.
At this point. All right, let me ask you a Golden Gopher question.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about the Gophers with Chip Scoggins. I asked you this for Enough Said during a promo, I think, actually. I don't think it was on the show.
Yeah.
So, between the two sort of, the two quarterbacks who have promised but have not really established anything, between the Gophers and the Vikings, which one do you have more confidence in making a pretty sizable jump more quickly?
You remember what I said on the promo?
I do.
I said JJ.
You said JJ. Yeah. You leaned to JJ.
Yeah, I leaned JJ mostly because we've just because we've actually seen him play.
Right.
Maybe not in the NFL as much, but we've seen him play in college. And I've told you this, part of the reason I like JJ, this is before I knew that, most of the time they knew what the signals were and what the other team's defense was going to do in college. So that's sullied it a little bit. But I ended up watching a lot of Michigan that year because of just kick times, and they were always playing the big noon game. And so I'd be in, Piscataway, New Jersey at 11 o'clock or noon Eastern, and I ended up watching a lot of JJ. And so I feel like he was penalized too much for the just handing it off and only and anytime Michigan needed to throw, he made one, right?
Of course he did. He knew what the defense was doing.
I know, and I had to get over that too. Yeah. But I just watched it so many times where if it was a 3rd and 7, he converted it.
Yeah.
So my point is, we've seen more of JJ. I'm more interested in the Lindsey thing, not just because I'll be on the sidelines for it, because they've.
Well, PJ said he threw some last year.
He threw a little bit, yeah. He was in a game or two, but not enough, not a lot,
right?
Because they've made now both teams have made a big bet. Obviously, you're talking about a 1st-round pick in McCarthy, and you're talking about a redshirt freshman. But they've put a lot of eggs in this Drake Lindsey basket, right? There's no Carson Wentz behind him. There's no Max Brosmer behind him. It's Drake Lindsey's show to run this year. I don't really even know who the backup might be. And as I've said a million times, you don't have to do that in 2025. You can go get a veteran guy and plug him in. So I'm just really curious. Chip said the unveiling part of it. I've seen him in practice. I saw him in those games. I've been around him now a fair amount between shows on campus, practice, and doing the Vegas stuff for Media Day, and he checks a lot of those boxes, and now we'll see if he can play. But I would still say I would still lean JJ as just because of being the 1st-round pick, and they're ready to turn it all over.
And also, would you say there's more established around him?
Yes.
That's got to be part of the
McCarthy you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
Because really, with the Gophers, it's Darius Taylor that's established, right? He's had a good first couple of years, but they have a lot of new faces at wide receiver. They have some established tight ends, but they have some new moving parts on the offensive line. There's just so many unknowns on the Gopher offense side of things that we'll just have to see starting Thursday.
I'm looking up, we mentioned, so it's Buffalo this week.
Yep.
And then it's Northwestern State next week. They're the Demons, right, out of Louisiana?
Yes.
And you had said to me, well, that's going to be there's going to be some problems there for Northwestern State. There's not an established program.
Yes.
And I mentioned yesterday, we looked up the scores last year. They did not win a single game last year.
They're on a 33-game losing streak, I think. Is that the total you got?
That sounds about right, that includes 4 forfeits, which I'm still trying to figure out what that's about.
I'll do some research.
If the forfeits was there a scandal, whatever.
I'll do some research. Can't be recruiting violations.
So here's the scores of all their losses last year. They lost to Tulsa 62-28. They lost to something. It's just these are just unfortunately they're something called PV by 6, 37-31. They lost then 87-10, 39-0, 19-0, 59-17, 42-21, 20-0, 42-10, 41-0, 35-3, and they finished the season. Who's at? What's HCU? You know what that would be?
Holy Cross, maybe?
They lost 62-24. They finished 0-12. They were 0, for whatever it's worth, 0-7 in the conference. And if you go to the previous year, 2023, that's the year they've got 5 forfeits.
Yeah.
Including also big losses.
Is that at the end of the year?
21. The last 4 games of the year, then they lost 37-20, and they forfeited the one before that. That's what's weird. The sequencing is very strange to me.
It has to be an injury thing where they maybe didn't have enough guys.
So that's 2023. I think we found their last victory in 2022. Yeah, their last victory was November 5th. This is a team that Gophers are hosting next week.
Yeah.
I mean, the second week. The last time Northwestern State's won a football game was November 5 of 2022, 41-14, by the way. They dominated that
Who'd they
game.
play?
Well, I can't tell. It's more abbreviation, so I can't really tell.
Okay. I can't defend that one. You know me. I like to find the silver lining.
And that isn't a home and home, you said.
I hope not. I hope I don't have to go to Louisiana because that would be an early season one. Yeah, they've done a lot of good with the non-conference, like going to Boulder and Carolina, and they've got Mississippi State coming up and Cal obviously this year, like legitimate opponents, right?
Yeah.
But then there's a couple of these that have been sprinkled in, and I don't know when. Like you say, you get the press release last year when they announced, or 2 years ago when they announced that Alabama's on the schedule. I don't remember getting the release when they said Gophers to host Northwestern State. I don't remember getting that one. So I don't know. It's one of those where you look and you go, what are they doing with this? Lindenwood's coming in a couple of years, 2027.
Lindenwood? I've never heard of them.
They just started D1 football, I think, a couple of years ago. They're from St. Louis. So, yeah, I won't lie. There's some beauty.
Too good.
Tickets available at gophersports.com.
One other medical note. I don't know why it's on my mind right now. Do you remember? This is a non sequitur that is not connected to anything.
Yep.
So do you remember years ago, you would have been a pup at the time, the Timberwolves traded Christian Laettner in a package deal to the Atlanta Hawks to get Andrew Lang because they felt like they needed a center.
Sure.
Right? Andrew Lang's nickname was The Punisher.
Yeah.
The Punisher.
I remember.
But the great part about that story, which we had a lot of fun with at the time, is Lang had no desire to play in Minnesota.
Can't blame him.
He had no interest. Even though how bad were we at that point? We were awful, or were we starting to get better? I don't even remember.
If we traded Laettner, Garnett might have been here for part of it. But
so Lang became, I think, the first player in National Basketball Association history to try to flunk the physical.
Yep.
When he came to Minnesota, he did everything in his power. Like he's pointing out ailments that nobody even knew he had. Now, Doc, before you check the box on this. Mike, I got that. I mean, my knee, it's not even moving right. Do you want to double check it? You want to get. So that's part of the great. Timberwolves have great lore back in the day when they weren't very good. Now they have lore for better reasons. But back then, they made history when a player was so adamant about not coming here that he did everything in his power to flunk the physical.
Well, 2 quick things. We're not sure. But are we sure Durant wouldn't have done the same thing this year if we actually traded for him?
That's true.
Number 2, and I say this frequently when you bring up something like this that we all remember, you as a writer covering it, me as a tortured child watching it and living and dying with it in my starter jacket with the original Timberwolves logo.
I love that. You still have that starter jacket?
No, and I wish I did because they're back now. Starter jackets are back in a big way.
Yeah.
You know, and
is that like a members-only jacket, or is that different?
I mean, it's the same idea. And I remember going to Herman's at Mall of America to get it. Like, it was a big deal.
Yes.
Herman's, rest in peace at MOA.
Yes.
When people ask me, well, how are you not disappointed when they go to back-to-back Western Conference Finals but can't win? Or when I say, you wonder why I've reveled and enjoyed in every second of every, not every second, but most of it the last couple of years is for guys like Andrew Lang. That's why I can say, it's too bad we lost to Luka and it's too bad we lost to Shea.
Yeah.
But man, we beat the Nuggets in 7. We handled the Warriors. We beat LeBron and Luka with we had so many great moments, and it's because of Andrew Lang.
Or because of loser in the locker room.
We still have a lot of room to make up before I'll actually start feeling bad about a Western Conference Finals run, given all these eyes have seen.
By the way, speaking of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Tim Conley, the president of basketball, or whatever his fancy title is, the chief brain wizard of the Wolves front office on the basketball side, will join. He's a later addition to our list at the fair. He's going to join us Thursday. It's that shortened show. It's a 2-hour show because of your club. Pregame show starting at 5, and he's going to join us about 4:30. So we'll have at least a little bit of time with him, along with, that's Laval and
it's Russo and it's Lavelle.
It's going to be very squeezed.
So I think we'll go 40 to 45 with Russo,
Yes.
40 to 45 with Lavelle.
There you go.
And then Tim Conley to wrap it up.
And it all works out together.
It's great.
It's a beautiful thing. All right, let's do this. Let's pause. It looks like the Knocker's already got his entourage. He's already working with his entourage.
Yep.
He's the only guy that comes with his own entourage on his way to the program. So we'll start up with him. If there's any top 5 at 5 items worth mentioning, we'll try to squeeze those in as well as we continue from the State Fair. Shadow of the Grandstand, beautiful Monday afternoon. Maybe a record-breaking crowd at the State Fair today. That would not surprise me given the weather, which continues to be very favorable, and the word is it will stay that way the rest of the week. Back in a minute.
This is Rob Gronkowski from Dudes on Dudes. Applebee's just cooked up the ultimate option play with their new Ultimate Trio deal. You can choose from 3 of their delicious appetizers and pair them up with 3 sauces for just $14.99. Craft your perfect trio from over 80,000 different combinations in this flavor-packed plate built for one, or to share if you're generous. You can stick with the classic pairings like boneless wings and buffalo sauce, or you can spice things up and try some unexpected pairings like dipping chicken wonton tacos in our honey Dijon mustard. It's time to head to your neighborhood Applebee's or order online today. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.